All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16. Max Barr joins with a very fine-looking hat over there, Max. Where did you get that from?
Was hoping you'd ask me from the fine SE16 shop. Blake, come on now.
There's a shop there, huh? Well, there may be a link right now in the chat to that shop, se16.printify.me,
Maybe.
se16.printify.me. You can buy that nice-looking hat that Max Barr has there, and, well, yours truly got a new hat on today as well, Max. You know why? You're all going to stick around for it. New sponsor alert here at the channel. We'll talk all about it with a very fine ad read coming up in just a bit. But we appreciate you guys jumping in. A lot of regulars hopping in to chat some SEC basketball because it's October. The season starts next month. Like, basically, it starts this month. There's exhibition games.
Yeah.
So I think the season's already started, really, if you ask me. But we're here. Like, it's time. So
It feels like the wind just changed directions, Blake. It feels like there's a shift in the matrix, as in college basketball smells a little bit closer, feels a little bit closer. The group chats starting to get a little bit more active. The scuttlebutt, the rumors starting to get a little bit more active. It's the best time of the year, guys. We're playing exhibitions in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We've got exhibitions, big time, not just your little closed scrimmages. Talking, what's the big one we've got in 3 weeks? Kentucky Purdue is in 3 weeks, guys. Woo.
yeah,
Come on.
it's time. It's time here at Southeastern 16. We are presented by FanDuel, as we always mention. And quickly, let's tell you about our friends at GameTime Sidekicks before we get into all the action. It's time to get hydrated, folks. I'm going to give you this nice little cup here. We're going to take a look at everybody. The national champions are still the national champions. Florida is the champ. To be the man, you got to beat the man, and we will see if anyone can do it this upcoming season. But we keep telling you, our friends at GameTime Sidekicks, they are awesome. Go buy your cups, licensed stainless steel drinkware, every SEC school, over 350 more universities as well. Get your stainless steel sippy cups if you'd like, some tumblers, some 40-ounce bottles, shaker cups. They got it all, man. SE16, 20% discount to our viewers. Go check it out. Remember, if you help them, you're helping us. And so support our fine sponsors at GameTime Sidekicks. Link going up in the chat right now. Also, because it is October 1st, if you want to hang around until later, that means we get to give out some free memberships, by the way. It's a new month, and Gary is in the house. Joining the It Just Means More tier at Southeastern 16. He'll get all the bonus content coming up this basketball season, and football, of course, too. So, yeah, hop on in to the membership, find it there, hit that join button, and you're in, just like you're in over at GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right, Max, we got a variety of stuff we're going to hit on. We'll get to the fun thing. We'll talk about some top 25 in a second. But let's jump into some random topics real quick, because it's a new month. We got to get people kind of caught up on anything noteworthy. And I think there has been a couple things noteworthy here as of late. Let's start. So what do you know? We're going to talk about Alabama and Auburn because they have had kind of the most noteworthy developments over the past couple weeks. Let's just start with Auburn because we did the stream. Bruce Pearl retiring, and Stephen Pearl takes over. We talked about what's the roster going to look like, anybody going to leave, all those other things. And, of course, Big Baller Brett, always. Big Baller Brett's just the number one when it comes to just trying to sort through what's real and what's not out there, trying to get all the intel you can have. But, Max, the state of Auburn's roster, what are we looking at right now?
I mentioned that there's been some scuttlebutt and some rumors picking up as the season gets closer. You've walked me right to it. A lot of rumors about one player in particular, and that yours truly is not buying for a second, Blake. Not for 1 second. I'm not drinking this juice for a second. I'm talking about Keyshawn Hall, guys. Been some rumors float around there that he's not practicing, or he's he's switching NIL and he's, entertaining outside offers. I got every shovel I knew and dug through every hole I could to try to get to the bottom of this. All I could find was that he switched NIL management. That is the only fact in this case. Okay, he's been practicing. I don't know anything else. All I could find was that Keyshawn Hall did switch his management for his NIL. That is all. He's not practicing. He's holding out, anything like that. Haven't heard anything about Pettiford or Murph or anything like that. A lot of the rumors have been around Hall. Blake, I'm sure you have seen some of them. There's been some fake, some people have gotten duped with some fake reporter accounts. There's like 5 different accounts that have Rothstein pictures as their, it's hard to see what's real and what's not. I dug through. That's the only fact in this matter, is that he switched NIL management.
How are we still getting duped on Twitter/X in 2025? How is this still happening? Like, we got to be better than that. Come on, folks. We've got to. But yeah, I don't. This whole rumor mill, you know my thinking. I'm out. Give me some hard facts, and then I'll talk about it. I'll run with it. But it's just the rumor stuff. Yeah, I'm not buying it until I see some actual facts from people that are trusted resources in the field, versus people who are impersonating trusted resources in the field. So, yeah.
Well, one thing that is fact, Blake, is that we are a bit removed from the news, and no one has left. That's a fact.
That is factual. Yeah, they still have their entire team in place. So, yeah. So that's what we know at the moment. But not a lot to add on that. Like I said, it is what it is. Take every rumor with a grain of salt. What's not a rumor, though, is that Alabama's Latrell Wrightsell has yet to be cleared to compete in basketball activities. And that's a little surprising for us. Yeah. Now, I know Big Baller Brett's going to jump in and tell us that it shouldn't be surprising, but we're a little surprised by that, because I think we thought the timeline was a little bit more close to the start of the season. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, but look, Max, we said it last week, and was it last week we did our backcourt rankings? I don't know. It all runs together. But you had Alabama at 1, I had Alabama at 3. And one of the things I mentioned was just, I said there were some unknowns with the injury situation. I know Bethea's going to be back by the end of November and all that, but I did say with both Wrightsell and Houston Millette, I mean, these are guys that didn't play a lot of games last year. And, yes, you have a star in LeBaron Philon. Aiden Holloway is going to be great, but I don't know. So, look, Big Baller Brett, that's the report. So, basketball activities, that's, I don't know.
It wouldn't draw so much. The alarm bells wouldn't be ringing if it wasn't for the Jalil Bethea injury already. Because if we didn't have the Jalil Bethea injury where he's not going to be available for a portion of the non-conference, you'd say, okay, he might, Wrightsell might, miss the first week or two, little ramp up process, the usual, no big deal. But now you take Bethea out, and now you potentially take Wrightsell out, and probably no big deal for conference play. The timelines we've been given for both of them lines up with conference play. But as we're going to talk about later, Blake, second week of the season, you're going to New York City and playing St. John's in a game that can determine a seed line based on resume building. So there's a little bit more concern now for one of the deepest backcourts, who now is probably going to be playing without 2 of their sharpshooters in some of these early big-time non-conference games, like early November.
Yeah, Alabama St. John's is our non-conference game preview of the week. We'll get to that a little bit later. But, I mean, here's the exact tweet, right, from our guy, John Rothstein. Alabama's Latrell Wrightsell, Achilles, still has no set timetable for when he'll be fully cleared for all basketball-related activities per Nate Oats. So it's coming straight from the source himself. Wrightsell was recently cleared for non-contact work. We knew that. And, yeah, I mean, so I think it's fair to just be like, that doesn't mean he's out for 6 months. That just means that the timetable has not been set, which, again, we could say that, and he could pop up and be ready to go November 1st, and all is well. But, it's just, look, we're going off what we have to go on, and so, yeah, that's it. So, but Mike brings up a good point, too, as you note here, Max. I mean, little Amari Allen, he's been talked about this offseason, I think. Got a little love there, maybe a little more experience. So, yeah.
It could be one of those situations where it's February and we're saying, all right, well, maybe it cost them the St. John's game, or it cost them this game not having Bethea and Wrightsell. But look at now in the last 5 minutes of that game when Wrightsell had 4 fouls and they had to throw in Davion Hannah, and he was ready to go because he had to be thrown into those big minutes in the non-conference. It's one of those things that could benefit down the road, getting these younger guys big time minutes early. So good point, Micah.
All right, so there are a couple news items. Outside of that, we will continue to refer you to the coach interviews we've done here over the past several weeks on the channel. If you haven't checked them out yet, go do that. Chris Beard, Chris Jans, Lamont Paris, Justin Gainey. Yeah, we've had several more to come, and maybe some player interviews to come as well. Yes. Media Day is coming up in a couple weeks for the SEC. So, yeah, we'll see who else jumps in here. We've got some contacts out there doing some work, and so, yeah, we'll see who else jumps in to talk to us before the start of the season. All right, Max, let's talk about this preseason top 25 from our guy, EvanMiya, who we hope to also have on maybe for the start of the season.
Yeah, we should talk to Evan.
Because we've got his rankings that he is putting out, his preseason rankings. And, this is kind of that time of year where everyone starts to put out their initial data, all these other things. We talked about Bart T for a while there. Yeah. I'm sure Ken Palm is coming at some point soon. And so now we look at Evan's top 25 here, Max, as it is set to start the season. Again, we mention his stuff so much throughout the year that it's always fun to look at this at the start and kind of see where we're beginning. And as you can tell here, bit of an SEC flavor. And one team in particular, Max, that continues to move up the ladder of not only in your hearts and in your minds, but also in the analytics. And even though their fan base completely turned on us this week in the football power rankings, the Commodores right there at 24. A lot of other SEC teams discuss here as well.
Yeah, Evan stuff is great, guys. If you don't have a subscription on his site, evanmiya.com, $5 for a month. I mean, you get some great analytics, some deep stuff. Look at it. Gives you, for those of you that are just listening, we've got a graphic pulled up of Evan's top 25. It gives you his predictive offensive rating for the team and defensive rating. Some great stuff. I also have the SEC rankings that we'll discuss. But $5, guys. It's a cup of coffee for a whole month of Evan's analytics. Great friend of the program here. Anyways, Blake, we've got 7 SEC teams in the top 25. If you were to set a FanDuel line on over under top 25 teams for the SEC end, do you think Evan is correct here with 7? If you were to put a line at like 6.5, you think maybe a little bit underselling the SEC, overselling the SEC, right on? What's your feel with about 6-ish, 7-ish teams, top 25?
If it was 6.5, I'd go over.
Okay.
If it was 7.5, I'd go under.
Okay.
Because I think it's the right number. Like, I think that's about realistic for me. Because the way I would draw that up would be, all right, if you've got 7, you've probably got a 1 seed in there. You've probably got a 2 seed in there, maybe multiple 2 seeds. So that's almost half of it right there, which I think is realistic for the SEC. I think it's realistic to think you could have at least a 1 seed, maybe 1 or 2 seeds. And then it's like, all right, sure, like give me maybe a 3 seed, maybe 1 4 seed, 1 5 seed. All realistic, I think, based on the top part of the league, or at least our projection for it. So, and then you're going to have some of those teams, maybe in the back half that are still 5 to 6 type seed potential range teams. So I think 7's a good number because look too, all off season, not really. We've shifted our minds a little bit in terms of the order, but we said like the big 6 for a while there. Like we felt like our 6 were pretty set, and then it was a matter of who's number 7, And again, I think it's shifted a little bit, maybe just based on talking through some of these teams. So I think it's about right. 6 felt like a lock for preseason top 25. And then it's just like, do you find your 7th in there? And obviously, based on this projection right here, Vanderbilt would be that 7th team outside of the other 6 we've been talking about all summer: Florida, Kentucky, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Auburn.
Yeah, top 5 goes pretty much as the FanDuel odds go for national title ranks. Houston number 1, followed by Purdue, Duke, Florida, and UConn for a top 5. I agree with that top 5. Michigan right outside at 6. It would probably be a team that a lot of people argue as well. I agree with that top grouping, and they're not separated by much. The only thing that I have a little bit of an issue with in the top part is how you having Houston that much better than Florida. Purdue that much better than Florida. They obviously have the best front court, and then we have already broken down their backcourt time and time again. In my opinion, I think Florida should get more respect here analytically. Tommy H was a top 10 player, top 5 player in the country last year. And so we know what Boogie Flan's analytics were like. I think Florida's not getting enough respect here, but I mean, hey, you're still a number 1 seed in these rankings.
Yeah, I think that's too. If you go to Evan's numbers, right, you can see like the player rankings too.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, if you look at Florida and where guys are at, I mean, come on. I mean, they're going to be, as we said, there's a reason they're up there in this group. But yeah, if you're looking at just from a number standpoint, you see a little bit of a gap there between them and those other teams. So we'll find out if that's the case. But yeah, so I think to see Florida at 4, no surprise. There is a little bit of a gap between Florida and Kentucky, who currently FanDuel have the same odds national championship wise. But like we always say, we're just telling you numbers there. That the odds don't really mean anything necessarily in terms of strength ratings. But yeah, for Kentucky to be down there at 10, we know, again, there are high expectations at BYU. No surprise to see them at 8.
Oh, yeah.
Illinois is going to have a very talented team. We mentioned UCLA, feel like has got a lot of potential. But like I think it continues to be for me like, and look, they're grouped together, right? Like Alabama and Tennessee, virtually the same.
Yeah.
And as we said, we're going to do this Alabama St. John's preview. They're virtually the same. So yeah, like I think that top part of the group, I'm not really. I can't say there's anything that's just completely out of left field where you're like, well, wait a second, that is just so off. Those are all teams that are going to be pretty grouped together, I think, for most of the season, honestly.
I think one thing that is not surprising for us, but maybe surprising to others, would be to see Tennessee up there at 15. I feel like it's kind of accepted generally, nationally, whatever you want to call it, that Tennessee is going to take a big step back without Zakai Ziegler, without all those guys that have been there for so long, and they don't really have that two guard, that true two guard. You're looking at Amari Abram, if he's going to be able to do it and step up. So you have a little bit more questions for Tennessee than you have in the past few years, but still, you look on Bart Torvik, you look at now EvanMiya, they're all telling you, no, the Tennessee's really not going to drop off too far. They got one of the best point guards in the country. They've got a rock solid, deep front court. Check out that interview that Blake did with Coach Gainey, talking about the depth of the front court. And Nate Ahmet, the analytics are saying Tennessee is not going to fall off. So maybe just, it's not the end all be all, but the team build as of right now, Tennessee is still going to be one of the top teams in the country.
Yeah, Tennessee is growing on me a lot, and I think they were a team that I said early in the offseason I had some questions about. And that's when they were still trying to fill some of those spots, whether it was the shooting guard, and we were kind of looking at the front court rotation. But I mean, realistically, I'm not going to say they're going to be better than Florida because there's just no one that has what Florida has in the front court. But like that 1 through 4 that they're going to have in the front court, that's a pretty strong group. Like that's one of your top ones, I think, nationally if all goes according to plan. And so, yeah, I mean, Micah brings up Jacoby Gillespie, a sleeper for SEC Player of the Year. I don't even think he's a sleeper. I think he's one of the top 5. I mean, I think he's first team All SEC. I don't know how I probably wouldn't be able to put him on there. Now I say that, and I'm like, well, there's a lot of guys that we love, and we're like, well, you got to put them somewhere. And if we do our 5-man teams versus our 9-man teams, well, then that's a little tougher. But I mean, yeah, like everybody's talking about Nate Amen. I mean, we know the comparisons that have been made, like Kevin Durant, all this other stuff. Like, I don't want to put that on the kid. I just don't. But like, if you're looking at skill set, you're looking at what he can do. Yeah, I mean, is he the next Dalton Connect, right, or at all that? And I know people are gonna be like, well, he's not him, and I mean in terms of the scoring production. And they've had that dude for 2 years in a row. Dalton Connect, then it was Chaz Lanier. He's probably your best bet, but I think pure production, Jacoby Gillespie may be number 1. But yeah, like just the front court, I think, is going to be the reason, and it's going to be the defense again. I said it. What are the 6 straight years they finished in the top 5 in defensive efficiency? It's going to be because of Felix Okpara being a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, Jalen Carey, physical beast, and even like the backups, the guys who are going to still come in there, Phillips and such, like they're going to play a big role on this team. And so, yeah, Tennessee is one that's absolutely grown on me this offseason, and not the first time we've seen them kind of up here in this top tier. As I said, Blue Ribbon had them high. Evans got them pretty high here. So, yeah, I think the Vols aren't going anywhere.
Next SEC team that shows up in the ranking is Arkansas at 20. And now, Blake, this also kind of fits with what people have been questioning with Arkansas. Loads of talent. Probably if you're just going by like high school, recruiting numbers, transfer recruiting numbers, probably one of the top 2, them in Kentucky in terms of talent. However, there's questions about spacing. There's questions about depth in the backcourt behind, you have DJ Wagner. You've got Acuff and Thomas. Who's next? Then it turns to Billy and Carter kind of on the perimeter. So there's a few questions, maybe a little bit more than a Florida. So how do you feel about Arkansas down here at 20? I feel like some people will say, yep, that's exactly where I would think they would be. Tons of talent, but I have my questions. And then some people would say, this is a top 10 roster, no doubt.
Did we not have that exact same discussion last year? And I don't have a big problem with this. And I know, again, Arkansas may look at, and look, I might wind up putting Arkansas at 2 in my preseason rankings. I may very well do it because, well, let's be honest, it's just what I do every year. I think no matter, I think I've done it how many years in a row now. I put Arkansas at 2, and it hasn't worked out that well. But look at their offensive rating and compare it to the other teams.
That's what I was looking at.
It's much lower, and I think that's fair to start a season without seeing this team play yet. I think it's fair to look at it and say there's nothing wrong with being like, hey, it's data, it's numbers, but yeah, if you look at that, maybe it doesn't compare to a lot of these other teams offensively, even though we're like, oh, these freshmen are going to be awesome, and they should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and this may not factor into Evan's data or anything, but like there is a John Calipari effect too here, folks, where I'm sorry, like we are allowed to sit here and be like, I think they've got a chance to be really good offensively, but I also know that I think there are some things with their system that just isn't always the prettiest. And so how do guys adjust to that? How's the chemistry with all of them together? There's only one ball to go around. I mean, and you got a lot of guys who can be big-time scorers. I think to me, Max, one of the questions I have, we talked about all about the backcourt production. I think, what does it look like offensively in the front court in terms of the production and the numbers? Not knocking any of those guys, but I think, I'm curious more than anything just to see, again, how they run their offense and what that means for the production in terms of the scoring numbers for the front court. So, so I don't have an issue with Arkansas being right here, even though I undoubtedly am going to rank them higher because that's just what I do with the Hawks. So,
well, if you remember, I don't know when it even was though, but we did like a way too early summer rankings, and I had Arkansas ahead of Kentucky, and then you look further into the numbers and the 3-point numbers, and I did those. I calculated all the new rosters of the SEC 3-pointer numbers, and Arkansas projects to be one of the worst 3-point shooting teams. And then you look at some analytics, and they're projecting to not start out with the best offensive efficiency. And I think I might need to just slightly reassess the Arkansas, my expectations for their offensive production right out the gate. I think defensively, they're going to be rock solid. Rebounding, I love this team's rebounding. I will absolutely love it. Bringing in Nick Pringle off the bench to go an offensive rebound against another backup center. Oh, it's a perfect scenario. But someone's 3-point shooting numbers are going to have to take a big increase. If it's Carter Knox, if it's DJ Wagner, if it's one of the freshmen that shoot better than they're supposed to, if it's Brazil that ups his volumes, someone's going to have to take a big step forward if that offensive efficiency number right there is going to be better than expectation. Someone's going to have to take that outside jump. Can it happen? 100%. But my confidence in it happening is a little bit less now than it was maybe a month or two ago.
Yeah, Arkansas shot 30.8% in conference games last year from three. That was 12th. And, the other four teams all shot around 30% or lower. That was A&M, LSU, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. As we know, two of those teams didn't make the tournament. So, yeah, I think it's fair to wonder exactly. But I think the newcomers will help there. But it's just,
yes,
it's a fair question, I think, with Arkansas offensively. And so if there is something that, based on combining the data, I could see why this would average out to where it holds them back a little bit in the top 25, just from this one metric here. But it's fine. Like I said, it is what it is. Like, I wouldn't get too carried away with it. We've talked all about Arkansas and their very, very high ceiling, I think, this offseason. So,
yep, rounding out the top 25, Blake. Oregon at 21 after Arkansas, Michigan State, Texas Tech, and then the last two sneaking in there to Evan's top 25. At number 25, we have Auburn, but above them at 24, the Commodores and Byington. Vandy sneaks up 25 Auburn, 24 Vanderbilt to give the SEC 7 teams in Evan's top 25. And folks, right outside of it is Mississippi State. Could have snuck in there to be 8, but Vandy and Auburn rounding out Evan's top 25.
Well, I was just about to say Texas Tech feels a little low to me, but it must be their defensive rating. And then I looked at Vanderbilt's defensive rating, and I said, oh, boy. They are the lowest of this group here. But, again, look at what's helping them out. It's that very high offensive number. And I think that's what's going to be – Vanderbilt could play some of the highest scoring games in the SEC this year because I think they're going to score a lot. We've mentioned why. But I think, yeah, like if you want to ask some questions about Vanderbilt, and let's say they don't meet the hype that we have seemingly given them, it may be defensively. There may be some things defensively that hold them back. But I still am. I like the roster a lot. I like the fact that Evan is on board here. At least his data is, because that means we felt like we were on to something several months ago when we jumped aboard the Commodore train here, and yeah, I think. Like I said, that they have a lot of depth, and I think that's something that with the way they want to play, I feel like that can be a very huge asset for the Commodores. And then for Auburn, I mean, I know some people are going to think that's too low, but supporting the NIL fund over there is Max Barr with the Janai Broom Final Four shirt. But I also don't have a big issue with this because we've said, Auburn is a team that they've got a star in Tahad Pettiford, but it's just it's a different team than it was last year. And I know you can't really factor in data-wise the Bruce Pearl effect, right? But obviously we have to put that into play now. And you know what? I've seen some of this too. It's like we can say that that's a factor without doing it and saying that we're knocking Stephen Pearl. We're not. We're just pointing out, I think, that it's Bruce Pearl, guys. Like, I mean, this guy is one of the best to do it in SEC history. And so without him on the sidelines, I think it's a little bit different. And, you know, that's where we mentioned first month of the season, there may not be a team I watch more than Auburn because I just want to see what it looks like. And I know Wes mentioned Keyshawn Hall as a star. Yes, like we've talked a lot about him. But I mean, if you're talking like preseason SEC awards, Tahad Pettiford is going to be everywhere. He is going to be on a first-team All-SEC as he should be. And look, maybe Hall is there by the end of the season, but I just you need, I think you need a lot of the elements Auburn had last year, and a lot of those are not on this roster. And so will they take a bit of a step back? I think it's absolutely fair to wonder if that happens just based on a completely new roster and new coach. And you know, I think it's okay to be wait and see mode on Auburn, especially that first month, like I said.
Yeah, back to Vanderbilt just real quick. If you guys are on audio and can't see the graphic here, for the offensive rating, Evan's data has Vanderbilt with an 11.2 offensive rating. All right, if you jump up to Kentucky, 11.3. The analytics are telling you the Kentucky offense and the Vanderbilt offense are going to operate at about the same efficiency. That's the expectation. That's what the data is telling us. Vanderbilt and Mark Byington's offense is going to operate just about the same efficiency level as Mark Pope's Kentucky offense is going to operate this year. That is the expectation. We've been trying to scream that to you guys all summer. Here's another point that backs that up. And then as for Auburn, I think Keyshawn Hall, if someone has Keyshawn Hall on a first team and not Tahad Pettiford, I'm not going to tell you you're crazy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you no way, because Keyshawn Hall could score in double digits every single game this year with how aggressive he is, with what they're going to need from it. He could score. He could not have a single game in single digits this year. And so Wes, 100%. Yeah. There you go. I was just going to pull this up. Wes says, I hear you. They'll take a step back for sure. I just think most casual fans don't realize Keyshawn Hall led the Big 12 in scoring. Dude is a bucket. 100%. 100%. That two-man duo, that scoring duo of Pettiford and Hall, that might be the highest scoring duo in the conference this year. It might be. I'm not saying it's a lock, but man, they're probably the
highest
favorite.
Usage too.
Yeah.
Because I could definitely see that based on what I would expect their shot attempts to be this year. So
I do want to. I'm going to pull up here what Evan has for SEC only, if you want, Blake. Just because.
All right, go ahead and do that, and you guys weigh in. I'm going to tell you about a couple other of our friends here at the channel. As you know, we've been talking about the HOF app. Tremendous stuff. If you're someone who wants to be a smart bettor like Max Barr, you rely on the data. We just said it. We're all about the data here, all right? HOF hands you the powerful analytics at your fingertips to tilt the odds in your favor. You can improve your chances of winning using that historical data. Matchup grades, trends, player performance, all that. It was created by some Ivy League geeks. Shout out to those guys. And yeah, remember, we're going to pull this up on the screen too, as our friends there tell us to do. Not only, folks, do you get a 7-day free trial, you also get 50% off your first month when you use that code SE16 at checkout. Download the HOF app on iOS or Android. Search for it there, HOF. Enter the code SE16, and you are all set with that. So we appreciate our friends over there. Also, how about ROKFORM? ROKFORM.com or ROKFORM, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock, secure mounting. September, their busiest month of the year. We keep telling you, go buy all your stuff for your new iPhone. If you're getting it there, SEC25 for 25% off over at rockform.com. And HOVI Dry Goods, your new favorite hat. Look no further than the HOVI hats for high-quality headwear. Great fit, unique designs, bad beat, 15% off over at HOVI. And don't worry, The new ad read is coming here in just a couple minutes. Oh, it's going to be spectacular. All right, let's get to what we're going to get to.
Well, Blake, Chris said, which SEC team got snubbed in your opinion? Who got snubbed? Well, as I told you guys, Mississippi State was ranked at 26, right outside of Evan's top 25. Moving on, you've got Texas at 30th overall. Missouri not too far behind at 32, with Oklahoma at 37. Then going out just outside the top 40, you got Georgia at 41 and Texas A&M at 46. Probably my biggest surprise there, but I think there's a good explanation. Ole Miss outside the top 50 at 52. And then the bottom two in the SEC for Evan, LSU at 61 and South Carolina at 95th. That is what we've got for Evan's SEC rankings. All top 100. All top 100. Come on.
South Carolina's offensive rating.
Not ideal.
Wow. Boy, I did not see that one. Okay, so yeah, I think I'll tell you what I would be intrigued by if you're Missouri. That offensive rating too, the 9.6 there, which is higher than multiple teams in front of you: Tennessee, Arkansas, Auburn, Mississippi State, Texas, and then all the teams behind you as well. So I guess by that number, they'd be fifth in the offensive rating in the SEC based on what I'm seeing here. So not bad for the Tigers. So, yeah, I think Ole Miss, and we say that like being that low, right? That low would mean in comparison to everyone else, not really that low nationally to be at 52. But would have expected them to be higher. I would say that. And, you know, I'm curious to see if the Texas A&M love, if the data matches up with me on that, because like I said, I don't know, man. I still got that feeling, but then I look at their defensive number and I'm like, uh-oh. Could that be a problem? But it's buckyball, man. Come on. Just give me some offense. Vanderbilt A&M may be the highest scoring game all season. That's my prediction right now. Bold prediction.
So the reason I think Matt asks how are these ratings configured, Evan did a blog on them. It's on his Twitter. So if you go to EvanMiya on Twitter, he has a link to a blog that he wrote on how he compiles the data.
I love a blog.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good blog? One thing on Ole Miss, because before we put this up, I think some people said Ole Miss maybe as their team for a snub. The problem there is that Ole Miss is going to rely on Ilias Camerdine for an enormous amount of production, and it's hard to grade the international guys analytically and then put them and factor them into the data. So other teams that are relying on major production from international, it's hard for the data to grade them correctly, because like a Jovic for Auburn, tough to figure out what the impact is going to be. And for a guy like Camerdine, who's probably going to be the lead guard, the ball in his hands, it's a tough projection for the data.
What does he do with freshmen? And this is where like I'm not analytics. Like, how do you factor all that in? Because people have asked us that.
How the freshmen are graded in?
Yeah.
We got to have him on again.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him, because I know, again, people have asked that before, and so I'm curious. But we'll get him back on. So we will figure it out. But all right. Yeah, I mean, of all of these, again, this isn't really that surprising to me. I don't see any just glaring obvious ones that I'm like, yeah, that feels way off. What's curious if LSU, just in terms of their overall rating, would be a little higher. But still, to see them at 61, there is a gap there between LSU and South Carolina. And we said, I mean, we could see LSU being right there with a chance to make the tournament this year, closer than they were last season. So, I mean, I think the story of the year, Max, is going to be just the jumbled middle. And how does it sort itself out? Because right now I don't know. I mean, you can see, right? I mean, there's teams at 24, 25, 26, 30, 32, 37, 41, 40, like, it's a lot of teams in there. So
it's a mess. And look at almost all of them have the same build where like Auburn, Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma all have very good offensive rating, bunch of questions defensively. Like all of them have the same analytical footprint here for like a team build for how their offense and defense is rated. They're all the same.
Yeah. There you go. It's one set of rankings, as we said. I know Alex asked how much put much stock in preseason rankings. We've always, I feel like, said the same thing. I'm not saying they're the end all be all, but they're good reference points just to have to see. Like, all right, we're gonna use this early in the season and kind of see what do we get right, what do we get wrong. But no, like preseason ranking, we do our own preseason rankings. We're like, why would anyone take these seriously? Like, they're just preseason rankings. We have fun with them. And so no, like we always talk about like the AP poll. I don't care. Like, who cares? Like, it's just, we're having fun here. We're talking basketball. This stuff, though, I will put more stock into just because it is based on data and actual, analytics and stuff. Polls, even ours, right? Like, we're not sitting here breaking down the data on our own power rankings. We're looking at rosters, putting a little bit of work into the data, but like, we're not doing it to this level that these guys are. So, exactly, Matt. Why are you even listening right now? Why should we even do a show? We may just take the entire season off. Why don't we just do that?
Yeah.
Why not?
Here's a quick little pop quiz to just back that point up. What was so Florida finished last year 3rd overall on KenPom. What do you think their preseason rank was?
27.
Oh wow, that was close. 26.
That was the first number that popped in my head. I was like, I have no idea.
You know what? There you go, folks. We are the data. We are KenPom.
No clue. So, no clue. All right, there you go. So EvanMiya, check out Evan's stuff. Let's put the link in the. I'll put that in the chat here real quick. By the way, I got 1 million tabs open, so this thing may be crawling on the screen right now. But, just give me a second. I got way too many tabs going right now. All right, so there you go. Check out Evan's stuff. Does a great job, as we always say. With that, all right, let's jump into our non-conference game of the week, and then at the end, guys, we want you to send your questions, comments, super chats, all that. We actually a little ahead of schedule here, which is very surprising for us. So we'll talk a bit about your questions and comments on anything you want to talk SEC basketball. We're in October now. Don't forget, we're also going to hand out some free memberships at the end of the show as well. So hang around for those if you'd like a free membership to the channel. Okay, Alabama and St. John's. Max, set it up. When, where, how, all that good stuff.
Give me 2 seconds while I update the layout and do a little production on the fly.
Look at that.
Doesn't that look a little bit nicer for you guys now?
That's incredible.
Yeah, I do what I can.
Only you and I are going to notice this. But.
I know. Okay, we are talking the first Saturday of the season. Blake, come on. Are you not pumped for the first college basketball Saturday? And you don't even have to wait until the nighttime. You can wake up, crawl out of bed, early lunchtime game here at Madison Square Garden, where November 8th, the Crimson Tide travel up northeast to take on Rick Pitino and St. John's at the Mecca. I'm going to try everything I can to get to this game, Blake, by the way. Hopefully I can maybe have a little fan impact on this game. If you want to look at Torvik projections, because my gosh, they only play one game before this. The Torvik projections aren't going to change too much, Blake. St. John's 87, Alabama 81. Implied odds of St. John's -6 with a total of 168. Ooh, baby. We got a good one here. First Saturday, college basketball.
Really feeling the red storm here in terms of that projection on the number. But yes, and I think, and by the way, I think it was Matt, and I'm on another tab, so I have no idea. How many SEC teams St. John's play? Right now, I think it's we have Alabama, Ole Miss, Kentucky. Is that it? I don't know if tournaments could factor into that, playing another potentially. I can't remember, but
yeah.
That's all I see for now. But yeah, I mean, St. John's, coached by Rick Pitino. Spoiler alert. Yeah, I mean, and then with Alabama, like we said, I think we've mentioned injury-wise for Alabama. I think that's going to be one of the storylines here, is just seeing, we know kind of Bethea's status. We don't know Wrightsell's status right now. And so, but as Big Baller Brett said, maybe it's the day that Amari Allen officially announces himself to the college basketball world. Could get that opportunity depending on what Alabama's rotation is set at that point, basically who's available, who's not. So that's clearly one of the big storylines in this one. And then if you look at St. John's roster, I mean, you've got a mixture of high quality production from the older guys. Obviously, you've got some new faces that will be focused on as well. But yeah, I mean, St. John's right now over at FanDuel, I feel like we've mentioned this a couple times, plus 1,900. So as it stands, they have the, I think it's 5th or 6th best odds, because a couple of these teams are tied in there, to win the national championship. And I know they were 2 seed last year. We know what happened. But I think that's probably where, if we want to start comparing and contrasting, Max, a lot of people, if you're an Alabama fan, others as well, you're curious about this game, you're going to say, what's the biggest difference between this team and last year's team? There are some obvious differences with the Red Storm.
Yeah, there are. I mean, last year it was basically Duke 2.0 in terms of point guard 6'6". Then you got 6'4", 6'7", 6'7", 6'9". The whole team is huge. One of the best defenses in the country last year. That's what they hung their hat on. And this year, if you're looking at the Torvik projections, projected to be a top 10 defense once again, right in with that classic Pitino style. So you're not seeing on the graphic some guys off the bench. They still have the 3-point shooter Lefteris, Leo Topoulos, or I don't know how to do his last name, but you guys know, you Big East fans, you St. John's fans, you know what I'm talking about. He had some nice sparks off the bench last year. Ruben Prey, got Dylan Mitchell, Blake, to back up Zuby, big man there. But it's not a ton of depth. Some nice quality, but it's not a ton. And for Alabama, obviously, you said there's some injuries. You've got some of the high-rated freshmen, Amari Allen, Davion Hanna, that might get some minutes early. So it'll be interesting, but we will get a slight look before this, Blake. So their first opening season game, St. John's plays Quinnipiac at home. Alabama plays North Dakota. Both games are going to be over by halftime. They do, however, play some exhibitions. So this is going to be St. John's second time in MSG right here, because on October 25th, they play Michigan in an exhibition. Holy smokes, that might be one of the best all country. That might be one of the best exhibitions. St. John's, Michigan, and MSG, and Alabama gets Florida State on October 16th. So we will get a slight look against high major competition for both teams, but then that opening day, Monday, Blake, both teams just kind of have that opening bye game.
In a matchup like this, I'm starting with the point guards because, I mean, you think about the two coaches, you think about the way they run their stuff, and a lot of that is based on the guys who are handling the ball the most, right? And I think Ian Jackson back home here, and by the way, I love, and this, people always point this out, right? It's like just seeing the visual of the red North Carolina. Like, it's incredible. But like, look, he's back. He's a former, 5-star guy, McDonald's All-American. What would he finish? I think second North Carolina in scoring last year. Averaged about 12 points a game, something like that. And yeah, like now he's back home, comes to St. John's. And look, we know why Rick Pitino brought him in, because I think, like I said, you're talking about a guy, he's from the Bronx, he's got the skill set, and, obviously, like we mentioned, it's a team that there are some different faces on this St. John's team in terms of the backcourt specifically, and so the matchup between him and then looking at LeBaron Philon, who we just keep saying, you want to talk about a guy whose stock continues to rise higher and higher. He's a big reason you had Alabama as your number one backcourt in the SEC going into the season. And, I mean, he should be as good as advertised, taking that jump from freshman to sophomore. And like I said, I think these two starting here is a good place because you're talking about two very young but ridiculously talented, guards here in this spot. So.
Yeah, and the matchup in the front court, like it's just as good. We haven't been able to. If you're a college basketball fan, it doesn't matter what team you like. I want to watch Bryce Hopkins play basketball. It doesn't matter. I'm glad he's healthy finally. So you got Bryce Hopkins, and you guys know Zuby. I mean, come on, if you watched a single St. John's game last year, you know how good Zuby is. If it's a tie game, Blake, if this is a tie game, and Zuby has the ball in his hands, it's almost like it's an automatic he's hitting a buzzer beater. I don't know how many buzzer beaters Zuby hit last year. It was like every other game, it felt like. But what's one of our number one questions with Aiden Sherrill? Is he going to be able to defend big-time fives? We're going to find out second game. We'll find out right away. Same with TBB. Is he going to be able to defend 30 minutes of Bryce Hopkins? We'll find out right away. It's gonna be a big time test defensively for the Alabama front court, and man, it's a good thing that they're getting tested right away. One thing I will say though, Blake, one question I have about St. John's, as talented as they may be, and Ian Jackson, I love the fit. However, I would love the fit if they had a true point guard. If you look at Ian Jackson's numbers from last year, he never had a game over 3 assists. He only had 2 games with 3 assists. He only went over 2 assists 2 times the whole year. It was either no assist, 1 or 2, every game except 2 of them. If you want to go analytics, his assist rate was 7% and his turnover rate was 13%. That's not true point guard numbers. That's not even 2-guard numbers. And so I don't know where the creation is going to come from if those numbers don't dramatically increase for Ian Jackson. It's a different role. Obviously he was a freshman back, behind some really, really good guards at old guards. So you never know. However, it's not I'm not comfortable with it. Being extremely confident about the St. John's backcourt being efficient. They don't have a player that has put together a full season of an efficient assist to turnover ratio yet. And we could see a little bit of sloppiness offensively early on while they're trying to figure that out.
Well, and we said, Alabama's got one of the best backcourts in the country. And I think that's where, how this game is won could be, who knows? St. John's may have the advantage in the front court. Alabama may have the advantage in the backcourt. Yep. And in those cases, it's really just about game flow and certain, points in the game and who can kind of, flex their muscle in different areas. And so, even for Sellers, right? Sellers averaged 1.3 assists per game last year. But, he was also a guy that kind of had to do a lot for Stanford. He averaged 11 shots a game, played 30-something minutes, and all that. So, and Big Baller Brett's asking, does Aiden Holloway actually start, though? I think if you're asking that question, right, that's a good thing because who knows? Like maybe Houston Millett's in there. Like we said, we don't know where Wrightsell's at that point. All these things. So, I think you're probably looking at it there. And Micah brings up, talking about the matchup in the front court. I think it's overall experience too. I think for St. John's, there's a clear edge there. Not saying that. I'm not, again, Mike, I'm not saying it's a given. I'm just saying that it is a given that one is way more experienced than the other. That doesn't always mean everything. But I'm not going to knock the St. John's front court because those two guys are pretty accomplished. But we'll see. We've been high on Bowen. We talked about him a lot this offseason. And so, he's one of our favorite kind of, I think you could classify him as a sleeper. I don't think people are talking about him enough. But there's a lot to be determined in a matchup like this. And I think Matt also someone asked, is St. John's going to shoot the ball as poorly this year as they did last year? Well, to put it nicely, it's hard to do because they shot 30.1% last year. That was 340th nationally. But, we'll see, Max, I guess. Sellers shot 40%.
I think that's what makes this. I think that's what makes this is the first Saturday. This is the first college basketball Saturday this season, and we get a matchup like this of two teams who we think by the end of the season are going to be very good teams, but have questions. Both of them do, and both have a lot of new pieces. If you're looking for an early, a FanDuel lean or something, it really is hard to say on if that spread is out there at 2-3 baskets, Blake. Even given the Alabama injury questions with Bethea and Wrightsell, I feel like they have I think they have the backcourt depth to manage that. And if you're giving me 6 points, Blake, if I had to make an early lean, I'd probably take the 6 points.
That feels like a lot in a game like this.
It feels like a lot.
But it's also location. I mean, hey, Big Baller Brett and company will be there in excitement. It'd be a very exciting atmosphere. But there's going to be a lot of St. John's fans. They're going to be.
I'm going to try to get there. I'll try to be at this one, guys.
And Max Barr. So, yeah, a lot on the line in this one. It's an early game, but, man, I tell you, it's just these two teams, these two coaches, and I think the way they want to play. Obviously, we know how excellent St. John's was defensively last year. We know what Alabama wants to do offensively. So I'm excited about this one. I think this will be a lot of fun. And
one last thing on it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the last time that Pitino and Oats met up? No, you don't, because it's never happened before. First one right here. First one. Who's going to take it? Another little wrinkle into the storyline.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think stylistically, this is a fun one to see how it plays out with these two teams. And we'll get a good look at some of the new faces on the on both teams. So, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But, all right. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was at Iona, Max. I forgot about that.
No, I looked. I went back and I looked.
Oh, they didn't play?
Yeah, I looked.
That wasn't?
I went back.
Are you sure?
Because I thought they did too, and they didn't.
NCAA tournament?
Are you sure, Micah? I went back and looked. And I did chat GPT.
Oh, well, now we've figured out the problem here.
I looked.
Now we may have figured out the issue, a little chat GPT. But let's see, it would have been
when he was at Buffalo.
There you go. 20. Yeah, no. Yep. All right. Sorry. This is terrible television and or listening. It was 2021. 68-55 NCAA tournament. 2 seed, 15 seed. That's right. God, that's been forever.
When he was at Alabama?
Yeah, Oats was at Alabama.
Well, then ChatGPT doesn't know what they're talking about.
Well, let's call it what it is, Max. But it's worth noting that Iona only played 18 games that season. So,
was that COVID?
I assume there was some kind of Okay, so here we go. This is wild to me. I don't remember any of this, folks. Something can't be right with this, right? What? They played December 23rd. They did not play another game until February the 12th. Wow. Like, what a wild timeline that was at that point. So, man, this feels like 100 years ago. But, yeah, so there you go.
Okay, hold on a second. Guys, this is great. This is good stuff. This is what you pay for.
You're hanging on for memberships just for this.
What is this? What is this?
Max, again, you can't trust this AI business.
You're making me look bad.
You go to the source. That is Southeastern 16. Whether we're right or wrong, no one knows because AI has no clue. So, there you go.
You gotta be kidding me.
This is great.
This is what you
Micah,
get,
we could use sports reference, but we could also just do the easy thing and just go with AI, right? Because I mean that's what
Aren't
we
they
do.
supposed to look at sports reference for me?
Aren't they supposed to be referencing the sports? Well, that's what these things are
Thought that
getting
was a
paid
nice little
for.
nugget in my notes.
I vaguely remember it, but now I do actually because there was a lot made of that. But it does, and that was 4 seasons ago, so I couldn't tell you what happened about that. So, all right, we've reached the 1 hour mark. That means it's your time. Let us know what you want to talk about. Micah's now proclaiming himself as the encyclopedia of Alabama basketball.
There we go. Appreciate it, Micah.
You need to change your name, Micah.
Yes.
Encyclopedia Davis is what I think you should now go by in our chat.
Micah.
That way we know. Chris asks, what game are we doing next week? I don't know. My God. Chris, I have no idea.
We're gonna leave out a ton. There's just too many good ones.
Yeah, and we're getting close to the season too. This is where we're probably going to start looking at non-conference schedules. So like, we may eventually just sort of scrap this because we're probably going to talk a lot about these games anyways. And you are going to get more regular live shows coming up soon. So like, this has just been our off-season sort of rhythm here, but yeah. So we're there.
Can you believe that in one month, Blake, we're going to be there is no way too early previews. It's game time.
We are basically starting our season previews. I think we start this week or early next week. So we're pretty much there. Like, so our season previews are about to be right around the corner. Like within the next week, you'll get our first couple season previews. So yeah, so they're coming. All right. Let me tell you quickly about our newest friend here at the channel. You see it on the hat here. And Steven said, you know what? I don't even have to wait for this new read because I'm going to join. Steven, you could have just had a chance at a free membership. But he said, I'm not chancing anything with this. It just means more tier. I'm going in all in on the It Just Means More at Southeastern 16. We appreciate Steven. 2 new members already in this chat. We're going to get 5 more in a second because we're giving out 5 free memberships here shortly. But, all right, Yearly Company. You see it on the hat. What a fine hat they sent. Otherwise, Max and I would be matching. And Max can get out of the way so you can actually see the logo. It blends in with his shirt. Max cannot wear white anymore. But Yearly Company, based in Nashville, Tennessee. Ooh, that just sounds good. Fine jewelry brand built on tradition and designed for meaning. They sent me a nice package in the mail yesterday. All kinds of good stuff in there. They create quality jewelry that tells women's stories through every milestone, big and small, each piece handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold. Whew. Getting a little hot over here, Max. Natural gemstones made to measure for a perfect fit, plus backed by a lifetime guarantee. Customers build their collections year after year, celebrating anniversaries, birthdays, new beginnings, everyday moments. It's all within this whole deal here. So, a loyal nationwide following, and here's what they're going to do. For our guys, our friends here at Southeastern 16, they're going to give you a complimentary sizing kit code. If you want to get something from these fine people, perfect place to start, especially for all you husbands out there who want to have the sizes ready now, so shopping closer to the holiday season is effortless.
Ooh.
You got to have effortless holiday season shopping. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to their website, and you're going to use the code SE16KIT. SE16KIT will take 100% off the sizing kit at checkout. 100%. What else could you want? If you're asking for 101, you got problems. 100%. Okay? That's what you got to do. I'm going to give you the link right now. These people are tremendous. Look at this deal they're giving you. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Max. What do you think about that?
Now I think I need to find myself a wife as soon as I can to get this deal.
Max Barr, not yet have one, but he's on his way to both locations. 1, get a wife. 2, Yearly Company.
Yes.
Incredible stuff. SE16 kit, 100% off at checkout.
That's fantastic.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, Matt wants to know, how the hell did we get a jewelry sponsor? It's what we do here. Are you kidding me? You see all the jewelry we wear on this channel? You kidding me? All right. There we go. Our fine friends, the Yearly Company. Who's ready for some free memberships?
Blake, we got a super chat first. We got a super chat.
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry. I didn't see it
earlier.
Okay. Yep. Where is it?
Daniel is here to remind everyone that your wonderful hosts have agreed to shave their heads when Kentucky wins both the league and the SEC tournament.
We did.
Daniel, I appreciate your reminder. I've not forgotten.
Now, here's the question. And Matt's like, well, Matt, I've been shaving my hair for a year now. Do we have to do it live on air? Or is it something where, like, we just come on air and then here you go? I know which one you guys are going to answer. I'm well aware of what you're going to answer. You're going to absolutely make us do it live on air. You're going to hope that one of us, maybe a little nick up there or something. But I don't know. So,
I will 100% do it.
We're in. We've agreed to the deal. So we've agreed, Daniel. By the way, Daniel became a new member here, too. He's a member of the channel, along with Steven and Gary. Both of them have joined the It Just Means More tier during this show. So, yeah, I knew what Matt was voting for. There was no question.
Yeah, you know.
But, however, a little gauntlet thrown down. You can do it on air, but you won't have to do it. Ooh, well, you know what that means. So, all right, let's hand out some.
Blake, and it's going to be like there's 5 different teams that if they win it all, we have to shave our head. Like it's going to be like we've made that deal with half the fan bases.
We're only going to agree to a couple. But you guys enjoy this chat right now because we're almost to the point to where this chat's going to start getting very chaotic once we hit November. But I'll tell you what's not chaotic. That is free memberships because it's very simple to do. And we're going to hand out some free memberships right now here on the channel. So let me go find the location I need to do that. And remember, check out all of our content this week. Very slow football week this week, but a big one between the Commodores and the Crimson Tide. So check out all of our previews and all that stuff. We'll have more football stuff coming up here tomorrow and Friday. But for now, check it all out. And again, we appreciate you guys also giving your nice thoughts towards Chris and his family. Chris will be back on here soon enough. And so, continue to do that. We appreciate everyone who did that the other day during Power Rankings. So continue to do that as well. All right. Free memberships coming up. Here we go. Let's do it right now. 5 free memberships on the way here at Southeastern 16. Here we go. Who's going to get it, Max? Who's going to get it? Let's find out. I think it's Zach hopping in right before the...
I had a silent drum roll going.
Johnny, Pat, OT, Jay, and the Dance King. Oh, yeah. The Dance King. Nice, I feel like the Dance King had a free membership at one point, too. Now, that means the Dance King may have canceled it. But he did it knowing he's going to get another free one. It's a great play. But I don't remember. We've seen the Dance King before. So, 5 new members here at the channel. We appreciate you guys. All right. We're out of here. What a day for SEC basketball, and a lot more to come.
Potentially a mailbag soon?
Yeah, we need a mailbag. We need more questions, actually, for the mailbag. So we're going to do that for members. We may do that this week, honestly, either tomorrow or Friday. So you want to be a member because we do that for members. And, yeah, if you join the It Just Means More tier, you'll get a free members mailbag as well. So, yeah, coming soon. Send in your questions, comments. Find us on Twitter/X. Any questions you want to send for the mailbag, do that, or you can join live and ask your questions in there. So, all right. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate all of our fine sponsors. We appreciate everyone else for joining in. Check out all the other stuff on the channel, and we'll talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.